Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. So you see there is a different background in the background. That's because I am at my parents' house over Easter and I am finishing up the video actually today when it comes out. Anyways, don't mind that. I will be back in my normal space soon, but we are actually building a sewing room here as well. This is my old bedroom where I grew up, and we just finished painting all the walls that we wanted to paint because it was green before that. I basically have my built-in green screen here, and we are in the middle of doing that. There are sewing supplies everywhere. Here is some foil and whatnot, so don't mind that. And I will show you on my Insta stories how everything is doing and how it looks once it is complete. But enough for that. In today's video we're going to make a jacket. Not just any jacket, but actually a more aesthetic jacket, not so much a jacket that keeps you warm, because I wanted to make something a bit different to what I am normally doing here on my channel, which most of the time consists of thicker materials or cotton or corsets and stuff like that. So I wanted to change it up, and I wanted to actually use a material that I don't use normally, which is organza. If you have been watching me for a while now, you know that I do not like organza whatsoever, or anything similar to that which is thin and just not really easy to handle while sewing. So I wanted to challenge myself, and I also wanted to help you guys figuring out how to work with materials like organza, which is why I am doing the project that I am showing you today. And for this project, I actually went ahead and made a pattern that I digitized for you guys. Link will be down in the description if you are interested, which is based off my jacket that I have been wearing in a lot of videos. I'm going to say that in the video in just a second as well, but if you're interested in that jacket, you might want to check that pattern out because it's pretty similar. Anyways, I will be going more into detail about that in just a second, so let's just jump right into the video. So for today's project, I actually went ahead and made this sketch right here. And I want to make a transparent jacket that I can wear as an overcoat, I guess, for in between summer and springy weather, which is more like a fashion statement piece and not, you know, a jacket that actually keeps you warm. But I still want to make it somewhat practical, therefore I elongated the hemline. I made the jacket go all the way down to my middle thighs, and I based this off of my Lucy jacket, which I have been wearing in a few videos already and which you guys really love. So I figured it would be great for it now to start a jacket that is based on the pattern that I can put up on Etsy right now, and then in a few weeks when I'm completely done with the collection and able to launch, that I can put that jacket up as well. So I actually went ahead and altered the complete pattern on the computer, solely on the computer, which is something new for me too, especially because this is not something that I know is going to work. I obviously know that the collar area, the sleeves and stuff that I haven't altered is working, and I'm fine with that fit. I'm going for a dropped shoulder look with wide folded sleeves, and then I want to add a belt in the middle where the corset part of the jacket is located, a zipper as the original jacket, and then just a wider and longer lower part, I guess. So that's what I had to make and figure out, and I think I'm only going to cut out the bodice of the jacket out of a sample organza that I have, and then going from there if I want to change anything else, or if I'm fine with what I did. I hope that I'm not going to have to change a lot. Fingers crossed, I don't know yet, but I will try out. So I'm going to print out that pattern and tape it together as much as needed, cut it out, and then cut it out of my sample fabric, and we'll see how everything goes. I just wanted to point out the difference, the crazy difference between silk organza, which is this, and polyester organza, which is this. Like, look at how shiny this is in comparison to this. This is my fashion fabric and this is my tryout fabric, because when you try out your patterns, you want to try it out in a fabric that is as similar as it could get to your original fabric. So that's what I'm gonna use in the end. It's really, really cute and nice nude colored silk organza. And this here is some organza I still have left from a project pre-YouTube times. And this is what I'm going to use for the mock-up. So I quickly sewed basically just lower and upper body pieces together, and this is what it looks like. There's one mistake here, so I need to figure out the lengths of both pieces, lower and upper, so that both of them have the same length and they fit together perfectly and nothing like this happens. That's a small fix, so nothing too bad. And I actually quite like the length of this and the volume and stuff, so I actually went ahead and grabbed a belt because I want this to be tight around the waist. It will be sewn onto the waist as some kind of waistband and just be here, be loose here and have some sort of overlap, which leaves me to close the belt here with some buttons or whatever. So this is what it looks like closed. I am thinking to put folds in the area here underneath the belt. This seam obviously will be covered by the belt. It is actually supposed to sit in the middle of the belt. The belt is 7 centimeters wide, so quite a wide belt actually, and it will sit right in the middle. That's that, and I can go ahead and cut out everything out of my silk organza. So before actually being able to cut out everything out of my fashion fabric, I need to figure out what type of seam I would like in this garment, because obviously it's transparent, you will see the seams. So to me, for example, an overlocked seam would be not really nice because you can see it and it would be pretty obvious. So the optimum solution for this would be French seams, which you actually have to cut out in a different way than you would normal seams, because French seams are basically, you would sew wrong sides together first and then flip it and then sew along right sides together, hiding the seam you did earlier. So this would actually come out to a 0.5, something like that seam. But in order to be able to do that nicely without having too much trouble, I would suggest to not cut out 1 centimeter seam allowance, but more like 1.5 centimeter seam allowance, which allows you to have some sort of room. So there are seams where it's pretty nice and pretty easy to make French seams, like straight seams, like the side seams or something like that. And there are seams where it's more complicated, like the sleeve seams. It is still possible, obviously. You just need to put wrong sides together and turn it around and do right sides together and sew along, and you'll have a French seam. Then, plus that, you have to think about special pattern pieces where you normally in non-transparent fabrics you would put interfacing in, iron-on interfacing or something like that, which is not really possible in transparent fabric because, again, you would see everything through the fabric. So I came up with the solution of just using interlining instead of interfacing, because I happen to have some stronger tulle in a nude color right here, which would be possible to be used as interlining for the collar, for the belt, for maybe the hem, for the cuffs of the sleeves, and so on. I also have some sort of fly on the lower part of my zipper, which just keeps the center front from just opening up like that. And that might also be a pattern piece that needs interlining. I will see about that once I come to this. But these are some pieces where you need to put something into the pattern piece in order to make it fall the way you want it to fall. So I will use that sort of interlining. which is this here. So what I have right here is actually a netted fabric. So this is some sort of stiffening type of fabric that you would use for all types of different things. So in my book here that I always use to reference different fabrics when I'm not sure, this looks to be some sort of cinnamon, or however you say that in English. So something that was originally used for hat making as a foundation. And I will be using exactly this fabric for a foundation basically as well, not hat making, but in this case to stiffen up a few pattern pieces that need it, as the collar, for example. So that's that. Let's get to cutting out my fabric, which is my most hated task, especially with organza. So as you can see, I am placing my fabric in such a way that the presser foot is ending with the corner of the fabric. That is in my case on my sewing machine 0.5 centimeters, which is really handy because you can just take that as a guide and then I flip it around, putting right sides together and sewing along again on my presser foot, the width of my presser foot, which then creates a more or less a tunnel, a pocket, if you will, of the seam allowance, the raw edge of the seam allowance hiding inside, and that will sit on the wrong side of the fabric, which you can see right there. If you iron it nicely, you'll have this kind of bias tape looking edge that you created with this sewing technique. I have attached the collar onto the bodice piece now, and I'm kind of enjoying working with this fabric. So the main difference is, and probably why I like working with this, is because it's made out of silk, and silk behaves very differently to, for example, nylon, organza, or whatever other material you have, because this is so forgiving in a sense. I mean, obviously, if you rip a hole in it, it has a hole in it, not that way, but it folds very easily. It just stays where you want it to stay, and all kinds of things like that, which I very much enjoy. So I think I have to start working more with these types of fabrics, because it looks so elegant. Whatever you make out of it looks really, really nice, and I really enjoy the look, especially for summer.
for something more airy and lightweight. Silk is an amazing fabric for summer, by the way. So this is actually what the color looks like on my dress form, and I didn't change anything. So remember, this pattern is made for a thicker fabric. So I actually went ahead and used around 0.5 centimeters because there's some specifics that you have to do for that. And I did not change it at all. So normally if you work with lightweight fabric like organza, you take around 3 millimeters, give or take, but not 5. 5 is a lot. 5 to 1 centimeter is used for outerwear. Everything below that is for lighter weight fabric. So I didn't change this. This color actually lays really, really nicely. It's standing up a bit here, but that's nothing a good iron or like a good steam wouldn't change. And everything else looks amazing. I'm very pleased with how the interlining that I used is forming the color. It looks really, really nice, and I really like the contrast in color as well that the different layers give, and I appreciate that it doesn't show the seam allowance underneath here because it's a bit wobbly. It's a bit uneven. Down here is going to be like another panel. Then obviously I have the sleeves still. Already finished the sleeves, and yeah, I'm excited.
One thing you have to think about is the order in which you are sewing things together. I really like to sew my side seams at the very last step, so I would actually sew my shoulder seams and anything else that is related to that, so collar and whatnot, and then while the side seam is still open, sew the sleeve in, and then close the side seam of the sleeve and of the body pieces all together in one go. But you can't really do that with French seams because you can't really turn your things around that easily. Like, technically, you can still do that, but you have to turn the whole piece, which in this case is just made of organza, but you know, you can also put French seams in other garments that have a little bit of a thicker fabric, like a lightweight cotton or whatever, and then it's gonna get like kind of difficult to turn this whole thing around, and you're not really doing yourself a favor instead of just sewing the side seams together and then putting the sleeves in. So that's just one thing I wanted to point out, that you really have to think about what step you need to do next.
Okay, I am done now with the jacket. It's actually been just one day. I made everything today. I made the pattern, I fitted the pattern, or like I sampled it, and then I actually finished the whole piece in one day because there's a good reason. I need to be done today already because tomorrow I will be not here and I will be only taking my computer, therefore only have the opportunity to work on the computer. So I needed to finish all of the footage for me to be able to edit the stuff tomorrow. But that's fine. I am done now and I have a few things that I will be changing for the pattern. For example, the zipper. I want it to disappear behind the belt because now it's like showing for like 5 centimeters or something like that, and that's fine, like I'm fine with it, but I would want that to, like I would want to change that for the next jacket that I would be making. And then also the fly that I put in the center front underneath the zipper, once it stops, I want to actually elongate that all the way to the hemline. That is something that I planned to do like that, but I ended up not having the correct measurements for the zipper and therefore having around the 5 centimeters or whatever that it was too short, now empty on the hemline, and that's also something I will change. So everything else is fine in my opinion. I will put the folds into the pattern as well, obviously, and then also the placement for the belt in the pattern. So everything that you need will be already drawn into the pattern. But other than that, I really like this jacket, and I think this would also be a great blouse or something like that out of this organza or some transparent fabric. I think that would look really nice as well. But you will need to make French seams everywhere because you can see literally everywhere through the fabric and therefore the seams. But in my opinion, it was quite fun and it worked out really well and it wasn't too much of a hassle. I mean, obviously you have to sew everything twice, but that's it, I guess. You have to deal with it and I was fine to do that, so pretty happy how it turned out.
And that's it with today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to show you the clips of me wearing the jacket in just a second. I just wanted to quickly remind you guys, if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. That would help me out so much, as well as liking this video and leaving a comment down below. Thank you so much for watching again, and let's roll into the clips that we did yesterday morning in the freezing cold on the field. But I really like the aesthetic of them, so enjoy. And I'm gonna see you next week. Bye guys!